humans, I'm MiKo, and today I'm going to do something a bit different. It's something I've been toying with the idea of for a while, and people have asked me to do different variations of it, so I'm going to start doing a web series on my YouTube channel focused around mental health. Even if you've never suffered from depression or anxiety or any of the major obvious facets of mental health, we all have mental health. It's not a thing that some people have and some people don't. Everyone's got it, and no one has it entirely broken and no one has it entirely sorted out. We all have good days, we all have bad days. I just, oh, my finger's bleeding a bit, I don't know if you can see that. I decided to break my way out of the office because I locked myself in here. The latch on the door was broken, and I forgot, and I closed it, and I had to kick the door down. Now, myself personally, I have suffered from a series of mental health things for as long as I can remember, to be honest with you, and I will get into that in more detail in future episodes. But right now, this is really just an introduction to what this is hoping to be. And what it's hoping to be above all else is a conversation. I want to encourage people to be more open about their mental health, whether it be their bad days or even their good days. There's no harm in sharing that you're having a good day. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not rubbing it in anyone's face to have a good day. And we all hope to have more good days than bad days. That's what it's all about, Personally, I've had a really difficult couple of years with my mental health, more so than I have done in my entire adulthood, really. I kind of got to a point where I figured I had it all together, I'd kind of figured it all out. And bang, just suddenly things got a lot more difficult and I felt like I couldn't manage them. And the thing with dealing with your bad mental health, I find, is that similar to a lot of things, similar to memorizing technique or, having the confidence to speak on stage. I just use them as examples because they're things that I work with and I talk about. But they're both examples of things that a lot of people struggle with, and yet there's all these different techniques out there and they don't always work for everyone. Like a very famous one is, if you're scared on stage, just imagine everyone's in their underwear or naked. That wouldn't make me less nervous. That would make me more nervous But for some people that'll work, and that's, it's not a right or a wrong thing. We're all different humans. We're all different people with different experiences, different backgrounds, different strengths and weaknesses, fears, passions. And because of that, we need to go on our own journey to a certain extent and figure out what works best for us. I think at the root of most people's struggles with mental health is this idea that we need to be happy all the time. We need to be perfect all the time. Not just happy, but we need to be beautiful. We need to be photoshopped. We need to be successful. We need to be rich. And those pressures have been there for a long time. But I think now more than ever, with things like Instagram and YouTube, there's this tremendous pressure, especially on young people, but on all of us, to not just fit in, but to fit in with this idea of a lifestyle that doesn't really exist. When you were going through school, you probably felt, as I did, and as I believe most people do at some point or another, felt like no one else was going through what you were going through. Some of you might feel like that as adults. I was in my mid-20s before I realised that, everyone's a bit messed up. Everyone's got their own issues. I got bullied really badly at my first high school, and I was working in a restaurant as a waiter. And this boy who'd bullied me terribly for years, who'd, led to me having horrible thoughts and hurting myself and all this kind of stuff, I hated him. I hadn't seen him in about a decade, but I hated him. And he came in with his young family and he was like, "Hey, how are you? I've not seen you in years." And he was really nice and seemed genuinely glad to see me. And it made me realize that all of the horrible things he did to me, or said about me, or making everyone laugh, or whatever it was, all of that bullying, he never did it because he hated me. He never did it to make me feel bad. He did it because it made him feel better. You know, we're all dealing with our own insecurities in one way or another, and one way that he got validation or felt like he was fitting in or felt like he was doing okay was to, you know, bring other people down. That's what bullying is, right? There's two ways to have the tallest house in the street. You can work hard and build it yourself, or you can knock everyone else's down to the floor. That's what bullying is. And it's a lot more common than we like to admit. It's not just as simple as punching someone and taking their lunch money. It's throughout our entire society. It's talent shows. It's all these kind of things. And I think when I realized that he genuinely didn't hate me or even really have any, it used to drive me nuts. I remember thinking, why does he hate me so much? What have I done? And unfortunately, it was, like I say, like a decade later before I realized that I didn't actually do anything. He didn't hate me. He didn't even dislike me. He just didn't care. There's a line in Trainspotting that I quote a lot among my friends, which is, heroin may explain your actions, Mr. Murphy, but it does not excuse them. And I think that's relevant for a lot of things. Like I say, this bully wasn't trying to hurt me. He was doing it to deal with his own insecurities, blah, 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 blah. That's the explanation for why he acted that way, but it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean that I and other people didn't suffer, and it doesn't mean that his behavior was justified. But it does explain it somewhat, and I think if you truly want to learn how to forgive, at least for me, you need to understand. I believe that a good source of our frustrations comes from a lack of understanding. And there's a number of ways to try and, you know, tackle that and remedy that. Think of it this way. Someone doesn't agree with you. It's awful, right? I don't know why they don't. They should. You're obviously right. But for whatever reason they don't, whether it be a theological debate, a political debate, or even just, you know, social interaction like with bullies or anything else, you just don't see eye to eye. It's really easy to just say, well, they're in the wrong and they obviously don't know the things that I know, because you think you're right. Of course you think if you didn't think you were right, why would you think the things that you think? You know? You wouldn't think the things that you think if you thought those things that you thought weren't right. You following? But obviously they think something different, and they have an equal amount of confidence in that, so there's at least one side that's not understanding the other side's point of view. Probably both. No matter what you think, no matter what your opinions in life are, or, you know, how you go about your day, there's people out there who are smarter than you that disagree with you on anything. That doesn't mean you're wrong. They can be wrong. Smart people can be wrong. They are all the time. Anyway, that's something, you know, we can talk about in more detail, like say in a future video. And if you have any suggestions or comments or queries or, you know, questions or things that you would like me to talk about or maybe focus on in future episodes of this, then please do leave a comment or get in touch on social media. You can find me everywhere at MiKo Poetry, and let's just keep the conversation going a bit. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this. Honestly, I don't know if anyone should. It's probably going to be rubbish. But if you are interested, I want to hear from you. I spend so much of my time going around, you know, schools and colleges, and a big part of what I do is I talk about mental health. But it's a weird thing when you're, you know, the guy or the girl or, you know, whatever on stage and with a mic, or you're in a position of power. And I kind of want you to continue having these conversations and discussing mental health in a more open and a more vulnerable, in some ways a more honest way. We all have good days, we all have bad days, we will all continue to have both of those days. It's about celebrating the good ones and learning to deal as best we can with the bad ones. And the best way to do that, honestly, is to not feel alone. You're not alone. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. I've been MiKo, this has been Good Day Bad Day, and you're awesome.